You're listening to Buzzer Beater's #1 podcast, FML Radio Live.
Hola.
Cześć.
你好
Bonjour.
Hello.
Marhaban.
Global Edition. Welcome into FML Live Radio Global Edition. It's our first time getting this going on the global side of Buzzer Beater. I'm Kay Henry, and co-hosting with me, who is in charge of the whole FML Live and the creator of it, is Czech. Czech, go ahead and let's tell the global listeners a little bit about ourselves.
Yeah, hey everybody, we're super excited to get this going. My name is Chekries. I manage the Flash Mashers. I've been playing since season 11. I live in America, I live in the USA, and we are super excited to get to do a global edition of this. We've been running it a little bit in the States and the USA forums, but we've got a special guest here to go live for the global edition.
And I'm Kay Henry, also in America. We talked a little bit last week with the USA under-21 coach Tuff, so that gave it a little bit more of a global feel, but definitely just been rolling with America stuff right now. But today we were trying to get two guests. It just didn't work out, but we do have someone that the global forums are definitely aware of, very vocal, but definitely brings a lot more to the game. We've got Wolph from Japan, or Nippon, joining us today.
Yeah, so I'm going to bring Wolph onto the show. Wolph, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm Wolph, or in the forums, that's what I go by. I'm actually from the States, but I live in Japan. I've been here about 10, 12 years, and I manage a team now in the Japan leagues as well as a Utopia team, and I had a team before I quit the game once that was in the Japan leagues, but it was also I was in the B3 and things like that, and I did some NT stints and things, but yeah, that's me.
So Wolph, what was it that made you quit the game the first time?
I was just there's a lot of things that frustrate me about the game, but the main point at that time was being stuck in a micronation, and there was no competition. I got to the point where I was dominating Japan, and I was in the B3 and I was in the top like 100 users of Japan, but it really wasn't fair how I was in the B3 compared to, like, say, an Italian team. The game it's a different game for a micronation user and a macronation user, and it's not fun to play bots. You know, after you've been playing the game for 2 or 3 years and you're still playing bots, I just got frustrated and I just quit.
Before we get into the main reason that we brought you on with to talk about the dominance of Look Inside, let's start with that micronation aspect. There's been some talk about some merging of micronations, and you've been vocal. I've been on the forums as well. We've gone some back and forth, and I think we at least agree that something needs to change. For those that maybe haven't seen that or are first hearing about it, how would you see that we could fix some of the micronation issues?
One thing I've been pretty vocal about it lately, I've been trying not to post on it or say anything because the BBs basically said they haven't been able to come to a decision, and I'm trying to think, like, okay, if I just let them talk out, if they're talking with GMs, and they just switched their staff, the BB staff, they had to switch some staff out. So I'm thinking they're trying to do something, but they've got back end stuff, they've got to program it, but I think what I've been saying in the past is there's a lot of different things they could do, a lot of different approaches, and I'm not pushing for one in specific. I just want them to do anything at all to try to fix it, because it's just gone on too long and it sucks too much. So yeah.
I think I'm on your side, Wolph. I don't really know exactly what the best move is, but I'd really like to see them do something. I mean, from a macro nation point of view, it will help the economy from taking a lot of that Division 1 money out of the game. But at the same time, I don't play in a micronation, so I can't really voice my opinion on how it will affect me, because it won't change my gameplay that much.
Yeah, well, one thing I could just kind of throw out there a little for for your listeners and stuff that maybe play in USA or anywhere in the world, but that don't know how screwed up the micronation thing is that I earned 1.7 million last year playing bots all year in the promo bonus, not what I earned during the season, but I came into this season with 1.7 million with all the bonuses and everything, and I'm currently under the salary floor by about 100K in salaries. I bought some guys, so I'm about 80K under salaries for the salary floor, so I'm only paying the salary floor, and I'm paying 150K a week for a level 7 trainer, 30K a week for a level 7 doctor, and I'm making 300K a week profit.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't have to win any games. I can lose every game. I suck completely. I'm spending 150K on a blown up trainer, and I'm making 300K a week money hand over fist for doing nothing. And I know for people in USA or Utopia, because I play in Utopia now, that's insane. It's not balanced. It's not fair. It's and anyone in the micronation just saying, "Oh, we don't have an advantage." Like, oh my God, are you crazy?
Well, let's hope that the BBs do something about it, and just something, even if it's not anything we've even suggested. But let's talk a little bit about the main reason that we brought you on. A lot of teams, especially in the B3, are kind of one-dimensional or in the top leagues, and a lot of people don't think that there's more than one way to play the game. What do you see about look inside dominance?
One key point I think that can kind of be lost is that there's actually multiple kind of approaches or builds that work in LI. You can attack with your bigs, you can attack with your guards, you can attack through the shooting guard or the point guard. There's different kinds of focuses and builds. LI actually works for a variety of team builds. I think for me, one of the main points of the dominance of LI is that it can't be stopped.
Yeah, I mean, when I've played the game for a while too, and ever since I've joined, Look Inside has been the go-to offense for successful teams. And so we wanted to kind of discuss why it is that Look Inside is that way. And I think for me, one of the big reasons is not only is it a little bit easier to make a team for Look Inside, and not only is it easier to get that rebounding advantage, but it's so much easier to find players for Look Inside. If you go to the transfer market, you can't find players with these crazy good jump range skills that are affordable. You can't find players that can attack outside and pass and run an offense, but you can find bigs that score and can pass, and you can find guards that can defend and have a lot of inside shot.
Well, one thing you can't find though is players that can defend LI. So I agree with you. You can't. It's hard to find players or to build players that can score outside. It's also harder to find and build players that defend inside. So it can't be stopped. It's easy to build an offense that can do LI, and it's hard to build a defense that can stop LI.
What kind of defense would stop Look Inside? I know they've lowered shot blocking in the past, and they've lowered jump range in the past, but what kind of team right now with the way the game engine is would have a chance at stopping or defeating Look Inside?
The thing with LI is I don't want to give away too many secrets because I'm actually having minimal success stopping LI. For the last, if anyone is interested in following it, if you look at my Utopia team for the last few seasons, I've had the lowest points against in my league every season. And I'm currently have the points lowest in my conference. The season just started, and doesn't matter if guys play LI against me or not. People don't put up a lot of points against me, even if they have high salaries. The thing is that what stops LI stops all the other offenses too. You don't have to specialize in LI. In my opinion, you don't have to specialize in stopping LI. It's just having good defense or not having good defense. But shot blocking, outside defense. Pretty much how it works.
And one of the so the second guest that we wanted to bring on was LA Mannon, and he's one team that's had a bit of success running an outside offense.
Yes,
he got to the final 32 stage of the B3. I think that was let's see what season that was, season 27. And I think he did kind of utilize that strategy you're talking about. I'm looking at his game where he'd lost against Mafia. And he ran a 3-2 zone to defend against the inside offense. And he guessed double wrong on his GDP and still only lost by 10 points. So I bet he's been kicking himself about that ever since. But he put up a sensational perimeter defense with only a proficient inside defense rating. And that's interesting to me that was his go-to defense against an inside team when he was expecting a look inside attack.
Yeah, we've had success in the Japan national team, and we're not the only ones, but it's just something that's easy for me to reference. We've had success with the 2-3 against inside offenses, and Japan went up into I think we were like 15 rank in the world for our NT 2 or 3 seasons ago, which is amazing for such a small country and such a small community. And we trained a lot of good players. We had guys who quit BB because they're just sick of LI, but we actually had some success in the long run building a defense against LI, and we won playing a 2-3 against LI teams and then running an RNG offense. I posted some of that in the forums recently. But yeah, so there is a way to do it. What I've felt, and this is something me and Mannon a little bit disagree on, is I don't think that anything you do to be successful in a non-LI offense won't also work in LI, and I don't think anything that you do to defend against LI won't also work against all the other tactics too, besides maybe a 2-3. 2-3 can be vulnerable against outside attacks. Can be, but it isn't always.
Well, let's go on to the last week when we had our American version, just the first FML Radio Live. We talked about what we were hoping to get in the Season 35 news post, and then ironically that came out the very next day. And for anyone looking at some news on the micronation mergers or anything changing with the game engine or salaries, we didn't get that, but we did get some aesthetically pleasing changes with the court designs, and I haven't been able to put one together yet. But Czech or Wolf, have either of you guys thrown something together?
I haven't had time to put my own court together, but I've seen some really great ones. Some users have put a lot of effort into it and made some really, really cool courts. And then you have users like Chicago or one of the guys in my league, Fur, have just made some really funny ones. Chicago's one made me laugh out loud the first time I saw it.
I don't have supporter right now, so I haven't messed around. I want to, but I had to move because of the earthquakes and stuff in my area, so I'm not in a financial situation to buy a supporter right now.
If you want a supporter, there is a NBBA prediction contest going on in the USA forums run by Czech, so...
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
you heard it here first. Wolf needs supporter. We got some generous donators out there anywhere?
Yeah, there we go. Hook me up. Yeah, I would love to make a court. I don't have anything against the cosmetic stuff. I think I don't know why they didn't do it sooner, but I'm happy the BBs are able to put those kind of features out. It's cool.
It did seem to me like a lot of users were underwhelmed by the changes, and they thought they were expecting a change with micronations or with the salaries or something that was a little bit different. But it's better than nothing. So
yeah,
I also enjoy the donations page.
Yeah, that's the donations is Yeah, it is what it is. I haven't commented on that stuff because it's not bad things. It's people are just disappointed because they wanted other things,
Yeah.
It's like you wanted it's like Christmas, you wanted a certain present and you got a different one, and it's like, it doesn't mean the other present sucked. It just means you didn't get what you wanted. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So.
All right. Well, we are going to take a little pause here for a break. We have some tips for new teams and another team spotlight coming up, but right now we're going to send you to some ads. So, Henry, let them fly.
Have you got what it takes to be the best? Buzzer Beater is an online basketball simulation game that pits you against other managers across the planet. Play head-to-head against those other challengers, employing strategic gameplay and statistical analysis. Go beyond fantasy basketball and run your own franchise. You're the manager, you pick the players and you train them, and you tell them how to play. Want a bigger arena? Build it. Want to draft a superstar? It's all about scouting, baby. You make the decisions and you're in charge. Buzzer Beater never sleeps, so why should you? Sign up now to play against the greatest basketball managers in the world. And hey, it's free at buzzerbeater.com. Do you want to get the edge on your opponents? The Buzzer Manager site helps the world's largest basketball manager game users from Buzzer Beater prepare their games better by giving them statistics on their next opponents. You get those full statistics, including game ratings, player statistics, and strategies used. In-depth analysis on your league, including team salaries and how much they're making from their arena. It aids to help your team setup, and it's a tool for calculating salary. Buzzer-manager.com. No official affiliation with Buzzer Beater. Are you a USA manager on Buzzer Beater? Join the official offsite for all USA managers. Create a team diary to tell others how you're doing. Receive training advice and team tips from experienced managers. And keep up to date on game planning and scouting for the USA Under-21 and national team. The USA Offsite. Find the link to join in the Buzzer Beater USA forums.
I'm rapper and manager of Marinol Fury, and you're listening to FML Radio Live.
All right, welcome back. We're going to get started with some other things here. First of all, one thing I neglected to mention about the news post is the one that came right after. We have a new BB in town.
Yep.
And if anyone wants to give us a clarification, a pronunciation, I know it's French, but I've just been reading it as BB Perpete. If that is wrong, please let us know, and we will try to pronounce it correctly next week just to make sure it's out there.
Perpete?
I'm thinking...
Perpete?
I'm thinking, I always called him Perpeci, but I think that's my Portuguese pronunciation. Perpete, maybe? I don't know.
I think we'll go with Perpete. I don't know. He's always been super active on the forums, and it doesn't really surprise me. He takes care of a lot of stuff already, so I'm glad to see him.
BB Ryan the best in his absence from the game as he takes a little break.
I hope it's good news, whatever he's busy with, so...
Best of luck to BB Ryan. And one of the things that's been coming up lately, time and time again in the game, is the lack of new users and just the decline in user base. So we thought we would talk a little bit about some strategies to be successful in the game, specifically when you're starting out. Henry, do you want to take that away?
Yeah, well, I actually... I've been trying to answer a few more questions for some people, especially when it comes to their training or their first time starting out. And I've been messaging a couple brand new users. I've got them on the USA offsite to give them a little bit more help. But the basic advice I've given them is start out building your arena. That's where you're going to get all of your income from. So if you have a small arena, you can raise your prices, but that's not going to make a whole lot of difference. All the teams start out with a good training. It is an all-star potential, but it's someone good for you to learn how to train. So I've advised them to look through their team and kind of pick and choose the 18 to 20-year-olds that you can, and with the way that the game engine works, just train 1v1 forwards for the entire first year, and then maybe you can sell a guy at the end of the year. And some common mistakes that go along with that are people just trying to buy too expensive of a trainer, or they get into bid wars just trying to win immediately. But if you get a few people that that's not really how you're good long term for the game.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of new players come on and say, I was told to train, so I bought a level 6 trainer and now I have no money.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
I think a lot of NT programs screw over new users. They try to get these new users into this idea that they're going to get a player on the NT, and it's like, no, you got to have your team for a little while to even dream about having the money to afford the trainer, to, especially for the larger nations, to really legitimately have an NT player that you home grew,
Yeah, Wolf, you've actually just started a couple of teams recently. So what was it was there anything you did differently the second time around than from when you started your first team?
The thing with my Japan team is I actually didn't, when I came back, I didn't plan on playing. I'd been gone for 3 or 4 months, and I was like, I wonder what's going on in BB. I wonder if they, fixed LI, or I wonder, because they changed JR formulas, I wonder if LI is not dominant, what's going on in the B3. And I just made an account just so that I could poke around and look in the leagues, and I actually ended up getting into a conversation with BB Marin, and I just decided to give Utopia a go. Yeah,
there's another pronunciation dispute. I've said Marin, but Marin, I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think of that either. I've been going with Marin. We are really Americanizing the heck out of all these other names.
Yeah, that's just something that I wonder how other countries say it. But anyway, sorry to cut you off, Wolf.
Oh no, that's actually it was kind of funny. Like per Pete, it never occurred to me. I've been I live in Japan, so I speak Japanese all the time, and then the other language I use a lot is Portuguese. So I always just read everything like European in Latin, kind of almost. But it's kind of funny, your guys' American, even though I'm American, so it's familiar to me, but it's kind of funny at the same time.
Well, going back to what you were saying about your team being successful at the start, I think your strategy actually starts to change once you've established your team, once you have your arena built, and once you've kind of had a little bit of success. You tend to play a little bit differently, which I think is kind of unfortunate for new teams, because it's hard for them to hear that the best thing they can do in this new exciting game they found is build an arena. I feel like that's kind of anticlimactic, but it's just how it is. And so I thought we could talk a little bit about, once you are established, you got to kind of choose a team identity. And I found that a lot of teams tend to either go with a balanced attack or a one-dimensional attack. And what I mean by that is that they either try to make a team that can use a lot of different moves, a lot of different strategies, whether it be motion, look inside isolation, or else they do the typical thing where they just go one-dimensional and they gear their entire team towards playing look inside. And I think that's just something you've got to do. You've got to form that team identity once you've got your arena built and everything.
I actually don't think the one-dimensional teams, LI teams, are very successful in the long run, because a lot of times they just focus on getting bigs that can shoot inside, and that's not really what makes LI work. It's more the guards, and it still works, but the guards usually work better. So, and if you build up the guards, then you can play other offenses. You can play patient, low post, you can play isolations. If you want to get into outside offenses, you do need some shooting, but at least you can go slow if you develop the guards properly.
And I think a team that's a really good example of that, we're going to talk about in a second, but one thing that he did, I'll just talk about this really quick, is I think it actually really helps you if you can train while you're competitive. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily need to use a lot of your salary room to buy an expensive trainer, but if you just have a decent trainer, you can just add those 2-3 skill points to your experienced players. That helps a lot. And as well, I think something that can really be beneficial, if it's possible, is buying players that are from your own country. I know I've had a lot of success using USA players because my merchandise is just so much higher than the league average.
Yeah, it definitely helps the national. I think that I don't kind of like that part of BB, because I think it doesn't reflect really what happens. It's true there is favoritism of national players, but if you look at like in the NBA, San Antonio, they don't care that Parker's French or that Ginobili's Argentinian. They still, love those players. And if they replaced Parker or Ginobili with some American guy, there's no way they're going to get more merchandise. They're going to lose merchandise because people are going to be pissed. They're going to be like, we love Ginobili. Why'd you trade him? So I think I'd like to see the merchandise reflect how long the player's been with your team, because that would also discourage day trading and reward people who build long term, who keep players over the long haul. Right now, if you keep players over the long haul, you're basically punished. So
someone that has been doing a good job of training and benefiting from having those national team and players from their own country is the USA's A-Dub, manager of Upsyndrome. Check, you know a lot more about him. What's he been doing to be successful, and how does he look going into this season?
Yeah, he's just a great manager, and he's our spotlight of the week. For the global episode, we want to kind of just highlight one team every time we do this, but I'll talk a little bit about his team for a second. So A-Dub has been using the tank and train method. He started a rebuild, something crazy. It was something like 6 or 7 seasons ago, maybe even more. I can't remember, but he was in the second division for the USA, and he dropped down and trained his own homegrown, home-drafted players. And he trained those guards that Wolph was talking about earlier for Look Inside. Daryl Meek and Kearney. He actually sold Kearney. He also trained Isom. So 3 of his players that have just been, they've been American, so he's gotten that nice merchandise bonus we talked about. And they've just been some really, really unique guards. They didn't make the national team, which was something that I know A-Dub was disappointed about, but they've really made his team, I don't know, a little bit more stealth, I guess, because they only cost $50,000 a week, but they have something like really, really good inside shot levels and some really, really good one-on-one play. So they're really dangerous, but I don't think teams will see that at first.
The LI guards are sneaky. People don't know what's going on because they only look at the salary, and then all of a sudden they can't stop this guard from fouling out their guards, scoring like crazy. His shot selection for the whole team gets better. Yeah,
one of the other things that I think A-Dub's done really well is he's been purchasing national team players. He has Sean Bowens, Chris Hunt, and he has Michael Bello as well. And that's just given him another just massive boost from merchandise. So I can't even imagine how high his merchandise bill is. But he's been doing great. Had some success in B3 last season, got to the Final Four, which is the farthest the USA team's ever got. So a big shout out to A-Dub for leading our nation that far, and we'll excited to see what he does this season. But that's our team spotlight for the week. We're going to wrap up here. We want to thank Wolph for coming out. Is there anything else you want to say before you head out, Wolph?
No. One thing I was going to say is just about the Upsyndrome you're mentioning. He was disappointed that he didn't get his guards on the NT. He probably built them smart, and I think that if you cost effectively build your players, they'll be just under NT level, because to get to NT level you got to overpay for the trainer. I think if you pay for a level 5 or a level 4 trainer, you can still make great players. They'll just be almost good enough for the NT, but they'll still be awesome players, and it'll be way more cost efficient. It's way more effective, the use of your money and your time as a trainer, I think. But I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, you heard it here first. If you want a national team player, use a level 7 trainer. We want to thank Wolph for coming out. We're gonna do this every couple of weeks. We can't really give you a specific timetable for the global episodes, but our goal for the USA ones is once a week. So if you want to check those out, those will be in the USA forum. But a big shout out to Henry as well for editing this.
Absolutely. Always enjoy getting on to come on here. Really enjoyed talking with Wolph. It's a lot more fun to talk voice to voice instead of just waiting for some forum posts. And if any of you guys have any ideas for the shows or some people you think we should talk to, make sure you BB mail those right to us.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely open to ideas. If you want a specific topic talked about, if you want a segment that you think would be interesting, or like Henry said, a guest, hit us up. But that's all we have for today. So thank you for tuning into FML Radio, and we will see you next time.